guys, it's Britt. Tonight we're here to talk about what is a panic room. Jodi Hildebrandt had a panic room in her home, and that was information that was released because of the police scanner audio that has been circulating. And I wanted to talk about um, what is a panic room, why is sometimes it called a safe room, and what's going on with everything. And I also have an important Ruby and Jodi update as far as their upcoming court date, if I can speak. So if you're interested, please keep watching. All right, you guys, so first things first, let's talk about the court hearing that they have coming up this Friday. It will be in the afternoon, and interestingly enough, these two are going to be in the courtroom at the same time for the hearings. Now, obviously, none of us know what's going to come out of these hearings, but obviously, I will be following the story to bring you guys updated information, updated thoughts, updated opinions, and we will just kind of see how things go. I find it very, very just, it's such a tragic turn of events. Still, somebody who has known of 8 passengers for many, many, many years, long before I had my own channel, to see that this is where we ended still does something to me. And I just never thought that we would be here. I'm glad that the kids are safe, but I am absolutely broken that this is the way that it had to end. And the long road that these kids have ahead of them is something that's weighing very, very heavy on my mind. Anytime I think of this situation or see updated info that's being released, I automatically think of what a long road of a recovery these kids are going to have, and how vital it is for them to have a really strong support group around them, qualified professionals and family members that they can trust to love and help guide them through what might be a very long chapter for some of these kids. In the new police scanner audio that is being released, and I say new because it is newer than the original audio that was released, you can hear the police officers talking about a safe room. And essentially, they are describing a safe room that is under one of the garages of Jodi's residence. And it's interesting because the officer said that the child is calling it a safe room. And the reason that I find that to be interesting is a lot of times these rooms are called panic rooms. So for a child to label it as a safe room, it really makes me wonder, was that done strategically by Ruby and Jodi in order to make these kids feel like this room is okay, you're safe here, everything is safe that happens in this room? I just find verbiage and words very interesting when they're used in this context, because instead of calling it a panic room, they labeled it as a safe room, and that is what the child repeated to the officers. Now, the officers also did make it very clear that they were not able to gain entry to this safe room that was under Jodi's garage. So obviously they have the equipment, they just didn't have it there and then. So I don't know what was in that safe room. I don't know if it was just a padded room. I don't know if it had a phone. I don't know if it had a fridge with water. Because everybody kind of handles these rooms differently, but they are very common among the extremely wealthy. And we're going to talk about that in a second, because I found an interesting article from Architecture's Digest, and I'm going to share little pieces of that with you guys as well in a minute. The other thing that I forgot to mention about this quote safe room that the child told the law enforcement officers about is that he described it like Fort Knox. And that to me is just very sad. It's extremely sad to think of what could have happened in those four walls of that, quote, safe room, as Jodi and Ruby described it, to this young, vulnerable, innocent child. But I don't know, maybe more info will come out about what law enforcement officers found in this safe room.
LT, there's a panic room inside the garage, downstairs underneath the garage. Yeah, he says it's downstairs and it's underneath one of the garages, and he's calling it a safe room. He said something about Fort Knox, so I don't know if it has a Fort Knox door or safe on it, but that's what he's talking about.
10-4, we've got it, but we can't get into it.
My guess is that would be where they're at. He says it's a large room, it's a panic room.
This one says Liberty Safe Company, it's got a big wheel on the front.
I'm at the front door.
On this case that we're working, we have the custodial parent of the child in the ER. She just came to our PD and then she took off when we said cops will talk to her in a second. So we're hoping maybe someone can go to the cop at the ER can restrict access from her to her kids. That's something you can relay to them. Her name is Ruby, and her name should be in CAD comments.
For now, let's talk about what is a safe room or a panic room, because a lot of the videos that I'm seeing about this room that was found in Jodi's house is a lot of people didn't even know what these rooms were or why somebody would even have it in their residence. It is something that is much more common among the wealthy and elite. And so when I heard about it, I wasn't necessarily surprised, considering the kind of class that Jodi and Ruby are both in. Not saying they have class, I am saying as far as their net worth goes, just a mountain of undeserved wealth, in my opinion. But let's see. So a safe room or a panic room is a fortified room that is installed in a private residence or business to provide a safe shelter or hiding place for the inhabitants in the event of a break-in, home invasion, tornado, terror attack, or other threat. Safe rooms usually contain communications equipment so that law enforcement authorities can be contacted. Safe rooms may contain communications equipment such as a cellular telephone, a landline telephone, or an amateur radio transceiver so the law enforcement authorities can be reached. There may also be a monitor for external security cameras and an alarm system. In basic safe rooms, a peephole in the door may be used for a similar purpose. Now, the officers that found the one in Jodi's house didn't say whether or not there was a peephole or anything like that on the door, aside from describing it like Fort Knox, and that's what they got from the child. It continues by saying that they are typically stocked with emergency and survival items like flashlights, blankets, first aid kit, water, food, self-defense tools, a gas mask, and a portable toilet. High-end safe rooms may have a GUN closet, a biodefense air filtration system. They can also have a panic button that locks down the entire house. Now, based on what we know about what Ruby and Jodi were up to, I highly doubt that this panic room had any food or water, and I wouldn't even be surprised if it came out that it didn't even have a phone, because I don't think, in my opinion, allegedly, that this panic room was being used in the manner that is being described here in this article. But it continues to say that these rooms can be hidden behind many household features such as mirror, wardrobes, bookcases, sliding bookcases, and even fireplaces. I wanted to dig a little bit further into why extremely wealthy people have these rooms in their homes, and this is where the Arc Digest article starts. It says, protecting the rich and famous is a serious business. That's why many prominent celebrities, athletes, and business tycoons are taking control of their safety and installing safe rooms, often referred to as panic rooms, in their homes. It's not a luxury, it's a necessity, says Darren Sukanik, luxury sales broker with Douglas Elliman in New York. He also says that in luxury home sales, a property with a safe room is even more desirable to prominent buyers. A lot of women use it as a dressing room. It is truly your own bank vault in your house. People could use it as a wine cellar because they're climate controlled. They could use it for cigars, jewelry, papers. It could be a room that is actually used but not completely fire rated or flood protected and locked off. People in the Hamptons, a lot of it is for people to be able to say, I have a panic room. They have indoor pools, a bowling alley, a bar, and they need something else. It's a conversation piece. Imagine having so much money that you literally install a panic room so that you have something to talk about. So the cost usually starts in between $50,000 and $100,000 for a basic hideout, but it can cost up to $1 million depending on what you're putting in this panic room, what kind of technology, what kind of air filtration system, etc. And I found another article because I wanted to then know, why are they so expensive? Like, I understand home construction, remodeling, all of that is very expensive, but I also wanted to know, like, what other info is out there about the cost? So it says here, why are they so expensive? For one, there's a lot of steel involved, but they're also getting fancier. We're talking about multi-purpose suites with their own plumbing, HVAC systems, and escape tunnels. The door alone can cost in between $2,500 and $190,000 based on what it can withstand and how cool it is. What's causing the demand? Los Angeles' uptick in crime despite conflicting data and overall lower crime rates across the decade apparently has those who can afford it prepping for the purge. But it's not uncommon for danger, real or perceived, to spark these kinds of purchases. Over the years, safe room companies across the U.S. have attributed sales surge to the panini, news reports, fear of terrorism, and GUN violence. Interestingly, the owners who spoke to Rob Report noted only a handful of times were their rooms ever used as in an emergency. The notion of safety, however, is perhaps priceless. So obviously I will link both of these articles down below in case you guys want to read them in their entirety. But when it comes to the reason that Jodi had a safe room, I don't think that it was for tornadoes. I think that it was for much more negative purposes, and you can look at that based off of her content and kind of the frame of mind and the things that she would say publicly, and I can only imagine what she was doing privately. And I cannot imagine veiling a room like this, being veiled as a safe room, to children that were actively being abused. The manipulation tactics that these children could have been a part of is, again, another thing that really, really bothers me. And like I said, all that I can hope right now is that justice is served and these children are surrounded by unconditional love and people that are truly qualified to help them through what they're going through. There have been other videos released about, Ruby's awful parenting over the years. I will include a couple of those just for context.
Can you not film it? So I just
You just got rejected.
Julie was just crying a lot and whiny, and one day I looked at her and I'm like, you just stink. She had like peed her pants or something, and it was just because she was being neglected.
Am I embarrassing you?
No, I have no friends.
You can play with friends.
No, like I don't have friends.
I don't have friends either.
Julie has asked that we not show her face. Do you want to tell us what happened? I think I may have already explained it. Her face looks very sore. Eve climbed away from me at Costco. I didn't know she climbed away. She ended up being found by an employee up in a toy house that was like on pallets up in the air. I don't know how she got up there.
A year ago, my daughter was saying her prayers. Eve, she was 6 years old at the time. And she was saying her prayers and she said the cutest thing. I thought it was so cute. And I started laughing. She said, "Dear Heavenly Father, please help me to survive." And I thought it was so cute and it just took me off guard and I kind of giggled a little. That was an experience for her and she melted. She melted. She was angry and she started crying. Oh, no. What are you doing? You are so crazy, girl.
Mom, can you give me some breakfast?
You don't need food.
Oh,
Whoa! I did not know you were standing there. Are you okay? Seriously, are you okay? Let me see.
I am going home to my sweet children. I cannot wait to hug them and to smell them and to lick them.
But I think that most of us that have been aware of 8 passengers have seen a lot of these clips. I never in a million years thought that this would be the outcome. Bad parenting on YouTube and this, I just could have never guessed it. So, do I think that panic rooms or safe rooms have value? I absolutely do. Do I also think that they can be used in a bad manner? Absolutely. Just like everything else in life. And I think that a lot of us have the same kind of awful image in our head of Jodi Hildebrandt's panic room and some of the activities that could have been going on. Now, I'm not going to come on here and list them because I don't know and I have no proof. But all of the things point in the same direction. And yeah, that's where we are right now. So Ruby and Jodi will be facing one another in court this coming Friday. And I think that that will be interesting. We will see what comes out of it, and I will continue to follow this. But that's going to be it for today. So if you like the video, please leave a like and a comment. And if you'd like to see more from me in the future, please subscribe. I'll see you guys soon. Bye.